Oh man, here it is. Wuthering Wave. Well, not released, but CBT2 is here. And my oh my, I would have to say it is very good. You see, there's one thing that can always judge a game immediately is that how good the gameplay is. And this game, this Wuthering Waves, even if just in CBT2, already shown to have a very good gameplay loop, right? Of course, in this showcase, they show a lot of changes they made, right? They made a lot of change for the game, stuff like that, sure. But that doesn't matter at all because the gameplay is good, right? I can just sit in here talking to you about all kind of changes like the shiny system, the pet system, echo, they got echo or something like that, right? The story remake, story revamp, right? According to the stream that I watched, there's a lot of cutscene, I must say, a lot. You walk 5 steps and you have a cutscene, 5 steps you have a cutscene. Well, although I don't really like that kind of storytelling about cutscene only, but yeah, at least it's fine, right? I don't have to walk around and pressing a bunch of buttons, like wasting my time. I just sit there watching the cutscene, right? You do the cutscene. I watch anime, right? I was sitting there and watching you like watching an anime, right? Fine, right? I'll take it. It's still pretty alright. But comparing to Genshin, boy, everything they have done so far, by the way, so far, seem already an improvement. Genshin right now, as of right now, at just the moment I am making this video, or at this moment of recording, day 1 of the CBT2, Genshin feel like a bootleg version of Wuthering Waves even. Like, goddamn, how can you make a game like that and you stay alive for 3.5 years? You see, this is just to show that the moment they have a competitor, they cannot last for 1 second. And of course, this video talking about Wuthering Waves, and I'm halfway through and I'm all this shit talking about Genshin. I mean, they fucking deserve it, sure, I guess. Okay, sure, but well, let's see what is good about this game. What this game has. Well, there are other aspects. I'm talking about 2 main aspects that everybody should care about. We'll go with the easy one first. The PT system. PT system, you need 80 points to get a character and to get a 5-star character, right? And when you get a 5-star character, you have 50% chance to get a correct one, and the other half is, well, you don't get it. But the rate up, right? The rate up of the counter is, how do I say, 0.8% chance. Improved from 0.6% chance from the last CBT. And here's the thing, Genshin only have like 0.3 or 0.5% chance, almost double the chance. And in Genshin, the counter, I'm talking about counter right now, right? The weapon is way better. I'm talking about that later. Genshin, in terms of counter pooling, although they said the PT is 90, but most of the time you only need 80 pool and a soft PT, right? If you get to 80 and you're still not getting a counter, you are already extremely unlucky, right? The majority of the people pulling a counter in Genshin Impact, they're gonna get around 70 pool, right? On average 70 to 80 pool, so on average 75 pool to get a counter on average, almost all the time. Unless you are extremely unlucky, even so, it only needs you to like 80 pool, and that is from a 0.3 or 0.5% chance way less than Wuthering Waves and needs 90. They need 90 as a guarantee, right? But you only need like around 70 to get a counter most of the time. Comparing that to Wuthering Waves, now you know why I say it way better, because not only the PT is lower, you only need 80, the rate is better, is higher. So basically, the PT is 80, right? The sub PT probably around 70. So the normal pool, you're gonna get that in around 60 pool, right? And of course, even though it seems better, but it also need to depend on how generous they can be, or how generous they will give out their pool for the player base. And based on their history of their previous game, they have shown to be very generous about this. So that is not even the problem to should be worrying about in the first place. Now, come to the second thing about the weapon banner. Oh boy, weapon banner. You need how many? 80 or something, right? 70? But no 50-50 around, right? You get 80 points, you get a 5-star in there, and it's guaranteed. That's it. No fucking 2-time failing in fucking Genshin. 3.5 years in the game, by the way. They still keeping that bullshit. And before that, there's not even a fucking payday in a weapon banner. If not for Tectone losing $5,000 in the stack of home before he even get one single copy of the fucking weapon, and they post that on the CN server talking shit about that, and a lot of people refunding because this whole weapon is a fucking scam. Then they will change a little bit, try to have a little bit of payday here. But before that, there's nothing. Shout out to that ball man, right? At least he did something for them, right? He's the core reason why they changed that. I would say so. But in Wuthering Waves right now, the weapon banner, it doesn't even have a 50-50. It's just you just straight up get it. And now, and that is already a very good part about that, right? So it's all about Gacha. So what about the game, right? If the game is trash, the Gacha doesn't matter at all, right? Quite the contrary. According to a certain dream, the end game is also very varied, right? There's a lot of variety of different kind of gameplay that you can have inside of that endgame content. It feels like a roguelite game mode, basically. So every single run is feel different. It's feel different. You have different mob, different kind of scenario in that, right? So it actually can be a how do I say it? A repeatable endgame, even though you're not gonna get reward when you repeat, I suppose. If you do well, that's good. But if you're not, it doesn't matter that much. But that end game is pretty good. And outside of the end game, what about the combat? What is combat like? Right? You have a normal attack, naturally, charge attack, a jump attack. You do that on aerial, right? Jump attack, and the jump attack when the second bar is full. See the another bar, the bar above the health bar right there. Yes, that is the aerial related bar. At least at day one, that's what I seen from. Maybe that would be changing a little bit or tweaking a little bit, but that is what it is, right? If that bar is full and you do an aerial attack, that will become a different attack, a different, more stronger version of that attack. Some counters just simply do they would just do that and they drop down and some of that, right? But some counter can actually do aerial combat during that time too, right? They keep jumping around doing that. Case in point, you know that line boy, the lying white boy over there, right? That boy is basically an aerial combat related or focus. Right, you have normal attack, you have charge attack, you have an aerial combat, you have a skill and a burst. Of course, the iframe dodge that naturally would be there, and another one is the parry button. Right, I suppose what button? I don't think it's a T button or some bullshit, right? Basically, you have another button to use for parry, right? And that is the whole combat. But the thing that makes it good is that during the combat you can change all kind of different scenario in that, right? Although if you break down the whole combat, it feels very simple, but to do that simplistic thing, it feels way different, way harder. Not really way harder, because let's be real, right? This is a gacha game. Gacha game cannot be designed hard at all. It feels like hard, but it is not, right? But it's at least shown that you actually have the choice to challenge yourself with all the different kind of hard boss. And the combat variety here is, although it seems very simple at first, but with every single thing that you know about combat is laid out in front of you, right? The thing that you need to do seems very simple, but because you mix and match different kind of action, it makes the whole combat flow way different. It feels like every single boss that you fight, the flow of the combat, it feels way different than the real, let's say boss A doing different thing, and the flow is different. Boss B doing different thing, the flow is different. In Genshin, however, the only flow you have is you spam a bunch of skill. You E, you burst, you E, you burst, you E, you burst, you swap. You E, you burst, you swap, and you repeat that entire sequence all over the places. I don't see that even, right? Genshin is the opposite of Wuthering Waves. They have a combat system pretend to be complicated, but at the end of the day, if you get a hang of it, it feels way too simple, very much too simple. Like, you drop a bunch of off-field and then you switch to the main on-field, preferably to be able to have a infusion on the attack, and then you let that draw a bunch of normal attack out there to try the element reaction. That's the whole combat around this. But in Wuthering Waves, however, although the moveset, right, what you can do in the game feels simple, but because it mix and match all kind of different things, right? You can normal attack, charge attack, jump attack to avoid the sudden attack of the boss, or just simply because you knock the boss up or knock everyone of those up, and then you jump up and you do that, or just simply because your aerial attack is the move that you can cover a wide area of effect. So when you jump up and you do that to cover some area, right? Basically, depend on different kind of enemy you're dealing with, the action that you are taking is quite different, and each of those are also different with different counter you have too, right? This is a kind of combat I feel very much like to play around. It start off simple. They tell you what you need to do. You have all the tools. Every single counter have the same tool, by the way. But because of the area is different, the hitbox is different, the attack animation is different, the cooldown is different. Every single time when you deal with different kind of scenario about, let's say you deal with the heavy big boy, then you're gonna pick some counter that have the charge attack, that they're able to dash around all the time. And then when you deal with a normal human-like bot that's not too big, you're not moving around them too much, so you're fighting a little bit more defensive, right? You do some attack and then you wait for their attack and you do parry or dodge, depend, right? But that's what you deal with. And then when you deal with a group of mob, you will try to group them up, or knock them into a way that you can group them. Then you use your aerial move to cover the AoE needed for a group of mobs, right? And that is just one normal case, I would say out of that, because it is not a fixed rotation. There is no rotation here. Of course, in the future, let's say even not in the future, when people get a hang of the game and we will find the optimal rotation to play a bunch of counter around, then I would agree, sure, right? You would probably still have rotation in it, and the gameplay is actually really not that complicated, right? But even if you're not messing up with the rotation, you can still, well, depend on your skill, basically the iframe and the dodge, or with the dodge and the parry, to carry yourself through that if you're not really knowing about the rotation, right? Using poor skill for that. It made me feel like this combat, this mix and match, all kind of bullshit here with this combat is what made me feel like I know what, and now I understand why they are comparing this game with Devil May Cry 5, because Devil May Cry 5 combat is very much similar like this, because you have all kind of freedom of choice about switching the move all over the places. You can do one attack, two attack, and then you swap to the other one. Or you want two, you do an aerial combat and you swap to the other move and do an aerial combo during that time. But although right now I do agree they are not having the aerial combat to the certain extent that is too much complicated or too much extent, right? I mean, shit, it's just day one. What the hell will I know, right? But I would expect outside of that line boy, maybe some other future counter that can also do that quite similar. That they are not that they are expand on the aerial combat stuff like that. Sure, I would say so, right? But it feels like each and every single character will feel like you have a different play style, right? Right? In Genshin, although it tricks you into thinking that this combat is complicated when having a lot of different elements. But in reality, you just, let's say you throw a bunch of off-field and then swap to the man on-field with infused attack, and then you do that, you try the combat. That's the whole thing. In this game, I would say some team comp would probably be like that, sure. But majority would be doing something more similar to this, right? You go into the boss, you do a bunch of combat, and your reaction is what needed to beat the boss or to beat the content, to beat the enemy you're facing, not the kind of random bullshit that you throw a bunch of on-field and then swap to the on-field, try all that bullshit. I would say sometimes you would probably have that kind of moves too, right? That kind of gameplay too. I would agree to probably have that kind of gameplay to a certain extent. But because it gives you the freedom, that is the key part. It gives you the freedom of reaction, or the move set, or whatever you want to do with the counter while fighting the boss is what key part of that. You might have a bunch of off-field counter. Let's say you pick 3 off-field counter that support the current on-field main DPS. Let's say you pick the exact team comp, like when you play with Genshin. But you don't need to do exactly the same thing like that, because you can just switch to the off-field, and then you can use that off-field at the on-field. Because here's the crazy part, because all the character in this game, so far, by the way, right? So far, have the same tune to deal with everything that need to be done. Everyone has a parry. Everyone has high frame dodge. Everyone has a jump attack, right? That is 3 core part of this game, and everyone has it. So no matter what kind of team comp you want to have, of course, the team comp different may lead to different kind of more optimal play style. But I wouldn't say that's gonna change that much in terms of the core aspect, the fun aspect of the gameplay. Now that is the key part where I would say, in terms of gameplay, Wuthering Waves already won again Genshin Impact. But Genshin Impact Combat is not fun. It has never been fun. It feels like fun in the early day when you don't know anything about it. I guess, sure. But when getting to later with content, that combat is not fun. It feels boring. And not only that, they have never created any boss fight that is engaging or even good. The entire design choice of them from the start to the end of the from the start of the game up until now, they only make a bunch of mobs that waste your time. They're running around. Their goal is not to kill you. Their goal is waste your time. Now I wouldn't necessarily say Wuthering Waves will be the GenshinKiller, but damn, that's really close, ain't it? Based on what I'm seeing on the CBT too, right? I'm not even talking about the release. Release not even here. We don't even know what they're gonna change, what kind of trick they're gonna do more, right? But I assume it would be quite the same and improve a little bit in the future with that. But this is the last part I'm gonna talk about in this whole yapping session is that the dev attitude for a game. They have been shown in the past that they are very much likely very willing to listen to their own player base to change and make the game better. They want to actually actively create a better game, a more enjoyable experience. Although this start with the fucking gacha thing bullshit, yeah, kind of a downside, but the only downside is a genre of the game. I mean, okay, I guess, sure, right? If you don't like that, don't like that, sure, I get it, I understand that, sure. But their attitude, listening to the player base, listening to feedback, oh man, the thing that Genshin has never done, or never will done, or in the future they probably gonna pretend like, oh man, we hear you, so we do all kind of bullshit. No, they don't. Let's say all the quality of life was here because you know what they do when they are going to work all the time, all the day? They look at the data. That is the only thing they look at. They don't look at feedback. They check your behavior and then they will add quality of life accordingly. And because they catering to the majority, a bunch of normie, that is why almost none of them ever cared about the end game or do the abyss ever. That is why they never add any endgame content, because they want to appeal to majority of the audience. Now this is where the problem comes from with them. Because you want to appeal to the majority of the audience, as time goes on, basically after 3.5 years right now you're appealing to no one. Because the game grinding with artifact is a cock in the ass of a system. That system is not meant, that was not meant for casual. But then let's say the Genshin of right now, they have the worst of both worlds. You have the worst grinding system, worst gearing progression system, but you do not have the end game system that those grind was meant for, right? So if you are casual, you have to go all this grind bullshit. No, you don't enjoy doing that. That's not casual gameplay. But if you're a hardcore player, if you are a normal player, right, you don't even need to be a hardcore. Let's say you're a normal player, enjoy the end game and stuff like that, enjoy the abyss. You also don't have any end game content to work forward to. You don't have anything to play around, right? So right now, because they try to appeal to the majority of the audience, they lost their own, identity. They now have the identity crisis. They don't even know what they need to do. I am completely confident to say that the dev of Genshin right now, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And when they are at that lowest point, somebody else gonna just get in here taking a jab at them, right? Although you can say Wuthering Waves not the GenshinKiller, but it's gonna deal a very heavy blow when it's released. And I'm talking that even comparing with Zenless Zone Zero, because their combat is totally put Zenless Zone Zero in shame. Because here's the problem: in Zenless Zone Zero, you don't even get a jump. You don't even have a jump. The jump button is now the swap button, and that swap button is basically a fucking parry. What the hell are you doing? It doesn't feel. It feels like you play a bunch of interactive cutscene more than doing a combat. If you ever get a combat, that is, right? So Wuthering Waves right now releasing, it's not only due to fight of a lot of fight of blow is kind of hard to assume, right? But it's gonna deal a very heavy blow to Genshin, and not only Genshin, but also Zenless Zone Zero gonna take collateral damage from that. And that is what I see from the CPT2 at least, right? I would expect in the future when they release, it's gonna get even better. You think you've seen it and you already like it? You probably like it even more when it releases. That is what I can guarantee to you. And that is what I want to say about Wuthering Waves. And boy oh boy, although I am not getting into the beta, and I can only watch Body, Botone, Jontone, Tectone, what kind of name you want to call the guy? Sure, I can only watch the guy playing the game. And I'm already the hype is not died down, right? I'm not feeling left out. I'm feeling quite excited. I can't wait oh man, I can't wait when this release. What I'm gonna pick, right? I already know what I'm gonna pick, sure, this is spoiler alert. But that is a very promising looking game released in 2024. And that is what I want to say about it. That is all. Thanks for watching, as always, and comment. D signing out. Yeah, but hold up. Have you seen it? Right? Tectone pulled the counter. He's the only counter he doesn't like to have in his roster. Now he fucking pulled that fucking thing. You seen this shit? Boy.